This is Debunk TV.
What is truth?
They are two different
Absolutely.
claims.
So, like, truth is basically subjective.
This is a worldview thing.
No fossilized eyeball, trust me.
This is Debunk TV. Welcome to Debunk TV. If you are joining us for the first time, we're about to tackle human evolution. Do us a favor, back up a couple episodes. Look at the one where we're talking about critical thinking when it comes to this subject, and then look at the one that we did on fossils, and we did a whole debunked video called Fossils Prove Evolution, and we debunked that. This is kind of part two of that, but it's a little separate because it's human evolution. We're going to get into the debunked video, but Carl, you got something to tell the folks right now. How do they reach out? What do they do?
I tell you what you should do, man. If you want to get these debunked videos and Debunk TV free of charge, all you need to do is text the message adios DTV, all right, to 51555. And when you do that on your smart device, you're going to get something back that you just fill it out, send it in. You get a link to all the Debunk TVs, all the Debunk videos, and then when we release the future Debunks, Bub, they even get them before we release them to the general public.
And remember, all this stuff, the Debunk videos, the Debunk TV, a lot of our other content, totally free. GetDebunked.com. Go there, click on it, you'll see one just like this. This is Fossils Prove Evolution. Really? Let's play it. Then we're going to talk about it. We've unearthed millions of fossils around the world, so with all this evidence, so to speak, it's clear that the fossil record proves evolution, right? Well, actually, no. Didn't when Darwin was alive, and hasn't since he's been gone. In fact, Chucky D himself knew this when he wrote the following: "Geology assuredly does not reveal any such finely graduated organic chain, and this, perhaps, is the most obvious and gravest objection which can be urged against my theory. The explanation lies, as I believe, in the extreme imperfection of the geological record." Okay, but surely after all the time since Darwin, digging and discovering fossil after fossil, we have a more perfect geological record that supports evolution, right? Not even close, bud. Listen to how two renowned evolutionary biologists summarize the truth. Instead of finding the slow, smooth, and progressive changes, they saw in the fossil record rapid bursts of change, new species appearing seemingly out of nowhere and then remaining unchanged for millions of years, patterns hauntingly reminiscent of creation. The fossil record doesn't show gradual change, and every paleontologist has known that ever since Cuvier, or however you pronounce that. Okay, I could go on, but there's always going to be opposing views because on both sides of the debate, the same evidence is interpreted through different worldviews. You got to remember that, people. Facts don't say anything. People say things based on their interpretation of facts influenced by their worldview. But that's a whole other subject, and I don't want to get into it right now. Instead, hey, let's have a little fun and take a look at some popular secular articles and charts on the fossil record and see if we can learn to separate facts from interpretation of facts by asking a few simple questions. Question 1. Did the artiste take any artistic license with what I'm looking at here? Check this out because this happens all the time. Look, isn't that sweet? So cute and fluffy. Okay, why do you think the artist made these creatures appear more human-like by throwing in an affectionate smile and depicting them hanging out like a human family going to a picnic or something? Why did he draw them walking upright? Why make the shapes and colors of their eyes more human than ape? Is any of it based on actual fossil evidence? Of course not. But if you want the story of evolution to appear more convincing, you just might fill in missing gaps with your presuppositional imagination. Just saying. Question 2. Is the attention-grabbing headline or title supported by actual facts? For instance, take a look at this popular book called Why Evolution is True. We don't even have to go any further than the jacket on this one, because on it you got a dino evolving into a bird in 3 simple steps. There you go. But then on the inside, this is written, and I kid you not. The jacket depicts a chronological sequence of fossils showing the evolution of birds. We do not know whether the actual line of descent included, now wait for it, the first 3. Say what now? Doesn't that mean these 3 shouldn't be on the cover then? Which means all you got is a modern bird, right? No evolution, just a bird. Talk about worldview filling in gaps. On to question 3. What do the graphics on evolutionary charts indicate? I mean, they sure do look convincing. For instance, on this one from the dinosaur book, you got solid red columns and white columns showing gradual progression over time. But let's read the almost imperceptible 2-point font over here. It reads, tinted areas indicate solid fossil evidence, which means the white areas represent no solid fossil evidence, right? Okay, then take them away. Uh-oh, looks like patterns hauntingly reminiscent of creation, I'd say, right from their own charts. And the same thing goes for the dotted lines on this one. Look at all of them. Just so we're clear, dotted lines indicate zero evidence. Remove them and what do you get? No transitional forms or evidence of gradual progression. A bat is a bat, a kangaroo is a kangaroo, and a horse is a horse. Of course, unless, of course, the horse is Mr. Ed. Look, people, all I'm saying here is if you got facts, put them in there. If you don't, leave them out. But don't draw downright dubious, daft, dare I declare, dunderheaded dotted lines of deliberate deception dogmatically and dastardly doodled to disguise definitive data. No. Just admit what you actually see. Overwhelming evidence of living things, according to their kinds, suddenly appearing, which, as a reminder, is exactly what the Bible teaches. Now, I don't even have time to get into TV, movies, and documentaries. All I ask is that you use the same line of questioning when you watch them. And in summary, we agree with Mr. D. Geology assuredly does not reveal any such finely graduated organic chain. Not then, not now, not ever. And that means the whole idea that the fossil record proves evolution has been debunked. Adios. There it is. I like that one. Play that. Keep playing that one.
I know it's a good one.
I love these. Playing these. Okay, so get us started. We're going to get into this, and we're gonna have 20 minutes or so.
We got to run, bro, because this one is like this is like a lightning round of all our evolutionary ancestors. But let's at the very beginning, let's be honest. There's two ways that we got everybody that we see, everything that we see, all the people, right? Number one. In the beginning, God. And God said in Genesis 1:27 that we are created in His image. By the way, you want value, you want worth, there it is. Nothing on this planet, I don't care how good looking you are, I don't care how rich you are, how smart you are, nothing can give you more value than the one right here that says that's you're
why,
created in
we're
His
created
image.
in, and I think that's why we tackle this stuff. It's so important. We don't just want to tell you there's a breakdown in the fossils or hey, what you're seeing is it's tricks, but it's so important that you know this because there's, like Carl said, two ways to look at it. You're either made in the image of God and God exists, which gives you meaning and purpose and life and love and relationship, or He doesn't, and we're an accident. There's no meaning, there's no purpose. So this is big stuff. But we're going to kick it off to Juan because he's going to go a little deeper into what it means to be made in the image of God. Check this out.
What does it mean to be made in the image of God? Being created in the image of God has both structural and functional dimensions. Structurally speaking, the image of God is part of our structure, our essence. We reflect God. It's who we are. This distinguishes us from the animal kingdom and gives us ontological worth. This dimension is permanent. We also reflect the image of God structurally in that we are free and rational beings capable of creating, planning, reasoning. And finally, we're triune, body, soul, and spirit. And our soul is eternal. Now, functionally speaking, the image of God is about what we do as humans. We represent and reflect God. It's what we were created to do. This also sets us apart from the animal kingdom. We have functional value. Although this dimension has been damaged by sin and God is in the process of restoring it, functionally, we reflect the image of God in that we govern, we are relational, we are moral beings with a conscience, knowing right and wrong, a law that is written in our hearts. An amazing application of what it means to be an image bearer came from Jesus himself. When he was confronted by the Pharisees about paying taxes, he responds with the famous words, "Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and unto God what is God's." Jesus was saying, give your money to Caesar. It has his image on it, and thus it belongs to him. But give yourselves to God. You bear his image, and thus you belong to him.
Thank you, Brother Juan. Dr. Valdez, as we call him around here.
Well, he is a doctor. You know, we call him Juan because he's a good friend, and he's not.
I always forget to call him Dr. Valdez.
Dr. Juan.
All right, man. Let's jump into this. This is legit stuff. This is your specialty.
Lightning round.
This is the lightning round. It's what we left him with last time, right?
But what we want to do is we don't want to come to this. We want to go to the core, go to the root, because what do we say? Don't look at images, go down deeper. This is actually nothing more than a continuation of an image that goes all the way back to when I was a child. Life Nature, it's Life Nature Library. Sorry about that. I had the whole set. My parents bought the whole set for me, and it's so crazy. Just a couple of years. This is the truth. I was looking through my library, and I still had this one book.
You still have it.
I opened it up, and this is the chart that's on the inside of this Life Nature Library book. It's The original. This is the original.
That's the one that did everybody in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that one on my school.
More schools bought this. They sold more of these posters than they did the book because the schools bought them, put them all over the place.
And then because I remember these everywhere. I went to a quote unquote Christian school.
And I went to the secular school, and we had the same chart. So this is the original March of Progress. But what I never did is I never did what we're telling you to do now, is not just look at pictures, but to dig deeper. So let's break into this. Bing, bing, bang, go for it.
Important stuff to look at, the pictures and also the words.
The text.
Okay, here we go.
And remember, I tell people always, you want to get 3 sources. We're just doing 1 or 2 here. You can do this on your own. First one is Pliopithecus. What is said about Pliopithecus? Well, long considered to be ancestral gibbons, the Pliopithecids are now known to be far removed from gibbons or indeed any other living primate. So if they're far removed from living primates, that means
they're not in the human lineage,
not in the
right?
human lineage.
And back up a little bit, just so we get clear. That march of progress is saying what? That we descended from ape-like creatures?
Here's the thing. Evolution no longer teaches that apes evolved into humans. It now teaches that there was a ape-like ancestor that had both ape and human characteristics, and then slowly, gradually, over time, they had mutations, and some became gradually more ape, and some became gradually more human. And so this is supposedly depicting how that ape-like ancestor
became us. Okay.
March of Progress.
Okay, the March of Progress. So.
But Pliopithecus doesn't belong there, according to their own writing.
Okay, first one gone. Doesn't belong in that chart that we just saw.
Nope.
What about the next one?
Proconsul. What do they have to say about this? Well, we read that it's considered to be a very early ape, the ancestor of the chimpanzee and perhaps of the gorilla. If it's an ancestor to the ape lineage, the chimpanzee lineage, is it an ancestor to the human lineage?
Apparently it shouldn't be on that chart either.
Should not be in a chart showing that we evolved, okay?
Right. Simple stuff.
Dryopithecus, okay, this one is, I love this one, quite frankly. David Begun of the University of Toronto in Canada reanalyzed, thank you, fossils of Dryopithecus apes, which lived in what is now Europe as early as about 12.5 million years ago. He says that the characteristics of the skull suggest that rather than evolving earlier than the great apes, as was previously thought, Dryopithecus was actually a great ape itself. So
he
if
goes
it's
on
an ape,
too. Yeah, it's an ape.
not us.
Again, he's not in it. Okay, so.
And it says, what if Dryopithecus, that looks like a little gorilla, really was a little gorilla that had already branched off from humans? I agree with the guy, man.
Yeah.
If it's a gorilla, it's a gorilla.
Isn't that the point? It goes back to the whole thing. It's you may want a peach, but it's an apple or an orange. You may want to form all these things, put all these things together, but when you look at it, it really is always usually what it is.
Exactly.
Right, and that's the point again. This one doesn't belong on the chart.
Doesn't belong on the chart. Oreopithecus, it's not the Cookie Monster. No,
Great.
It's a different one, all right? Likely side branch on man's family tree.
This is right under the text and that thing, and you're going to see a couple of these, right, the different ones. Some is from the chart, and then some is from other sources, but when we do the arrow, it's right under the
So if it's a side branch, humans are here, that means it's over here, which means it's not in the lineage. It goes on. Was clearly an aberrant ape. So that's not in the human lineage. And then another source, Oreopithecus fossils are poorly preserved and some of the bones are crushed, making it difficult to draw definitive conclusions.
And is that not true with every one of these?
Every one of these could say that exact same thing. Well, not that they're all crushed, because there is one that they have.
Not crushed, but it's really difficult to draw definitive conclusions from the things that they found, and we're going to explore that a little further as we go. But we got more. We can just keep going.
All right, Ramapithecus. Yep, here we go. Ramapithecus was thought to be a distinct genus that was the first direct ancestor of modern humans, Homo sapiens, before it became regarded as that of the orangutan ancestor Civipithecus. So,
orangutan, not
in the human lineage.
But it was thought before. Again, some of these words suggest thought before. All these things are still worth looking at. But
always looking for that.
But again, doesn't belong in the chart.
Not in the lineage.
What is going on?
All right. Australopithecus afarensis. Oh, I'm sorry. No, Africanus. We're going to get to afarensis. Africanus possessed brains the size of apes, had ape-like skulls, and was similar in body shape and size. I wonder what it could be.
I'm guessing, since it said ape 3 times in here, it's probably an ape.
Maybe it's in the ape lineage.
This is what. Okay, so we're going to go back to kind of what we talked about a couple times. If you find fragments of things, and you want them to be ancestors, you start building things up, and we're going to see later how they even develop the pictures. But we got to be careful. Every time we see anything, to investigate, look at the text, look at the image. Did we find this?
No.
Did we find this hey guy, and he came out of the water? It's
Nope.
not what he was like. He wasn't right.
And we'll come back to that point as well.
Here we go. Got something else.
This is the one that I mentioned before, afarensis. Now, this is the one that wasn't on the chart, but it's the most famous because most folks are going to know it as Lucy.
Well, this is the big one.
This is the biggie,
right?
Lucy.
Forget it. Once we
Give it
see
up.
this, it's over.
But we have to deal with it. So here we go. Let's see, afarensis. Let's go to the next one here. Let's let
someone else talk about it. The great
Here in
Mr.
the
Attenborough.
1970s, they found the link between apes and man. It offered conclusive proof that we started walking upright 3.2 million years ago. A human ancestor, a female, Lucy.
Okay, man. A lot of claims made there. So lightning round, here it goes. Let's deal with it. Wow, what are we going to do? We got really cool pictures, and please notice the detail.
It's not even a picture. It looks like a great photograph, like someone touched that. I love the hands of this one. He's worshiping. Look at him. He's worshiping something, and this guy's rebelling.
But my favorite is the look on that lady's face. Does she love her husband
she
or
sure
what?
does. Look at her.
That's a woman
It's
who loves her
endearing.
husband. And Bub, if I had pecs like that, I would demand my wife look at me like that.
And look at this guy, though.
Yeah, future Fortune 500 CEO.
Look at his eyes. The detail on his eyes, man.
You pointed out a couple things here.
His-
Hands and eyes. What's the evidence to support the depictions that we have?
This.
There you go.
Can't you see the eyes here?
No fossilized eyeballs, trust me.
And the hands.
And
Where are the
no
hands?
hand bones, and by the way, no toe
The
bones.
feet.
So when we go to museums and we see Lucy walking upright with human hand, human feet, we're being lied to, quite frankly, because they didn't find any hand bones or any foot bones.
But he just said it proved they walked upright 3.2 million years ago.
They say the hip did that.
Yeah.
And boy, in this episode, we can't show you everything. Look, we teach a class. Juan and I teach a class at Faith Baptist Bible College. Check them out sometime because I do one class on 18 ancestors.
Wow.
Like this is the old ancestors. We do this is still one of the newer ones, but we do the 18, and when we go through everything, 3 secular sources, destroy every one of them. And what they had to do to turn Lucy's hips from chimp hips to human hips would blow your mind.
Oh yeah, that's
Blow
the one
your
I think
mind.
I saw where they had all the tools out, chiseling everything
Exactly, dude.
to make
So-
it work. But I got a question on this one, right?
Yeah.
How do we? And this popped up. How do we know if we find a bunch of bones that they all come from the same person? What if 5 people were in the hole? How do we know that goes with that?
Yeah.
I mean, I can kind of see those going.
Right,
but how do
right.
we know certain things go with
Depending
everything?
on how the placement is, you can know that these pieces go together, but then sometimes you really don't. Like even Lucy, for instance, Lucy, the one bone that you see that looks like a
kinda right
bird.
here?
Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
like a little
yeah.
V. It took 40 years, but they finally figured out that it doesn't even belong to Lucy. It's
That's
an-
what I always think when you're digging up stuff because these when you show up, they aren't displayed like this. They place them all like this.
Yes.
Right.
Sometimes you will find them. If
Oh,
it's
you will,
covered up-
like just
yeah.
like that. That
But
that put
most
together,
of the
huh?
time, no.
And
It's
if
jumbled
someone
all
else was
together.
next to you and died at the same time, then how do you put them all together anyway?
When you go to the museum, you'll see, at Smithsonian at least, you're going to see human hand and human foot bones on there, but they did not find from the individual Lucy, they found it from other specimens that they put it on there.
Careful.
But the
with tricks.
curvature of the finger and toe bones that they found, that they stuck on there, were actually more curved than a chimp. She did not have human hands, she did not have human feet.
Wow.
Period.
Yeah, they're just.
But look at the skull, 7 pieces of
Yeah,
skull.
so here we go here.
And this is something I really love to point out to folks. Far left is a chimpanzee skull. Far right is a human skull. In the middle is Lucy, and it supposedly had both ape and human features because it's that common ancestor. I took the existing information, I didn't add anything to it, take anything away, and then I overlaid it on top of the chimp. And then I overlaid it on top of the human. And which one does it actually fit better with?
I'm gonna go with this one.
It is totally
Yeah,
chimp.
yeah.
You can see that on this one, we
bone,
can
yeah.
we can wear
It's
glasses.
missing.
Chimps can't wear glasses. Put glasses on, boom, it's
slide
going to
off,
slide
right.
off. But when they show this skull, they show it as a crossover in between apes and humans.
Right.
It is
But
totally
it
chimp.
Fits just on the chimp.
Totally
right?
chimp.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But what's the bottom line with
Yep.
it? Houston Museum of Natural Science got the bones, actual bones of Lucy for the first time ever, brought them out of Africa, put them on display. They made a study booklet for the teachers to use with the students that they were taking in there. I got a copy. Page 20 says this. For many years, Lucy was thought to be a direct human ancestor, but we now see her as belonging to a separate group of hominids from those which became our species, Homo sapien, which means Lucy is not in the human lineage. This is from the study book that they made.
And Lucy wasn't even on the chart.
No.
But Lucy was the big find way after the chart.
She's the
and then it
huge
doesn't
find.
fit at all either. She doesn't belong on the human.
And let me drive
chart.
that home. 150th anniversary of the publication of Origin of Species, 200th anniversary of the birth of Charles Darwin.
Yep.
They made this chart here. This is their chart, secular chart.
This one.
And this depicted the greatest, latest information on how ape-like ancestry evolved into humans. And remember what you learned in the fossil classes,
Yep.
all right, that we did, right? The dark lines, solid lines mean?
You got some evidence.
The skinny lines mean?
You don't know. You got it's making up some stuff.
And
And the
now we
question
even-
marks mean I have no idea what's there. You got a lot of lines and question marks.
This is Lucy, Australopithecus afarensis, straight line,
Straight line.
not connected in with the ape lineage, the human lineage anymore. It's gone. And by the way, we talked about Africanus. She's over there. Boom, no longer in the lineage as well. So the new missing link is right there, which is a skinny line and 2 question marks.
Yeah, well, that's convincing to me, as is the chart's becoming less and less convincing. So,
These are their charts.
and we're going to keep
These
going,
are their
man.
charts. So next one, now we get into the big dogs because we have Australopithecus robustus, which by the way has been renamed. All right, but we'll get to that. He represents an evolutionary dead end in man's
Now,
ancestry.
they put that right here.
Yes,
He's a dead end, but he's on the chart.
and he's in the chart. Why? It's the same reason you have a coexist label
Yeah.
with CO, and 2 of the things that are in there are not religions, don't
Yeah.
have nothing to do
Yeah.
with it, but you need the goofy symbols to make the thing
To make
work,
it work,
all right?
yeah.
And
It's
that's
the same.
exactly what they did. They stuck something in there just to make it work,
Yeah.
being honest, okay? This is the new name. I told you they renamed it. It's now called Paranthropus. What does that mean? It means beside, near, man. But Carl, that means that it could still be, right? It's near, so it's close to man. Remember the chart. Let's go back to that chart. Here's the whole Paranthropus series. Right there.
Near to man, next
It's
to man,
gone.
not
It's
on the man
out of the lineage. Yep. So, no good.
See ya.
But here we are now. Homo erectus. Homo erectus is, according to what they say here, and I believe them, is first man of our own genus. Homo erectus is modern of limb, but more primitive of hand and brain. Now, here's a question. How
Did
do
we
they
talk
know
about
the
that?
brain was primitive?
Yeah.
I mean, all they have is the skull,
Yeah.
and you can know what the brain was like?
Yeah, and sometimes they don't have the skull; they have the pelvis, right? We went through that.
We
one, so
did that, right?
We don't even know.
With a cranial capacity extending only into the lower range of Homo sapiens. So it had a cranial capacity of a human, but it was on the lower end.
So it's a human.
Brain size doesn't
Right.
determine intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember that?
Great.
But it's human. Early Homo sapien. There's 3 of them here. And by the way, when you go do the research on this, every one of those are now essentially classified as Neanderthal,
Yep.
which we're going to come back to because it's a.
So that's it. They're all these. Each one of these.
They're human.
They're human.
They're Neanderthal,
So, okay.
which we're going to get
Which
to.
is part human. Okay. So.
But we got to
part
get the
human, not part human.
solo
Yeah.
man, which
Yeah.
I'd never heard of, and it's not.
It's come on, you put that in there. You can always tell when Carl puts stuff in there. They just pop up on the slides with these kinds of things. So see ya, Han.
Sorry.
I love you, brother.
But solo man, according to the chart, was an extinct race of Homo sapien in Java. Solo man is known so far only from 2 shin bones and some fragments of skull.
Oh, my goodness, again.
Bub, you fundamentalist hick, what's wrong with you? How in the world can you believe that evolution is not a fact? We have 2 shin bones and a fragment.
Well, it's enough for me to give up on the Word of God, wouldn't it? I mean, it's like, why? Yeah, really interesting. The
Not
more we
doing it.
explore this, right?
Not doing
it's
it.
really interesting. But it doesn't end. So now we're back to
Neanderthal man. So now those other 3 that we talked about, classified with Neanderthal man, not nearly as brutish a fellow as his name has come to connote.
A fellow, like they were all hung out with him and everything.
He's a
that's what I
decent
love.
guy,
Yeah,
you know? He's a decent guy,
He's
you
a
know?
nice kid.
And it goes on to say down here that had a cranial capacity in some cases larger than that of modern man.
So we're devolving. We're getting bigger brains and we get
Then we
less
get smaller brains. So
And we're supposed to be smarter than him, but brains equal intelligence. So he was smarter, but he didn't last.
think of how they always depicted Neanderthal man. I mean, this is just a variety of depictions,
Here's
right?
like a history of them.
You know, the 1800s, the early 1900s, mid 1900s.
I remember this. I remember that. Yeah.
But I mean, you look at him, and the one thing that you can say is this is a poor guy that he needs a dental plan.
Yeah, but we got legit photography of these guys, right?
Yeah.
From the Discovery, right? I think.
Remember, Adam, he had his GoPro.
Always there with the GoPro.
This is a guy that needed a dental plan. There's no argument about it. Now, one thing.
So real, so good. Look at it. Look.
One thing, though, what really makes us know that he evolved from an ape? Look at those eyebrow ridges. I mean, it's so apparent. Well, I'm going to put it to you like this. If you think big eyebrow ridges means you evolved from an ape, you tell this guy that, because he's a 7-foot-tall professional boxer. Yeah. I'm not messing with the guy.
Absolutely. Well, you got a line in these guys, right?
I am not messing with these guys.
You know this?
Yeah, he was a professional wrestler back in the 60s.
So all we're seeing is different shapes of human beings.
Human beings.
That have always kind of been human beings, and this is how they look. Andre the Giant, right?
Brother. I mean, come on.
Your dad was a wrestler. Did you know him?
I never got to meet him. No,
okay.
He came a little bit after
my dad. But I mean, it's like, they're just, no one would say these people aren't human, right? That's just...
They're human that have a certain feature.
That's it.
That's it. That's it. And what does History Channel have to say about Neanderthal man?
A lot, I'm sure.
Neanderthal seems so promising when it's first presented. It seems like it's going to be the answer. But on closer inspection, it starts to fall apart. Most importantly, the key fossils just seem to be too much like humans. Neanderthal at best is a man with some ape qualities.
Okay, there's Neanderthal. We got to keep going. Let's
there
jump
you go.
in. What about this guy? What
Last
about Cro-Magnon man?
Cro-Magnon man, when you look at it, only a cultural step away from modern man. Brain capacity, 1600 cc, larger than the average modern human. And by the way, when you look at the artwork that they did, when you look at the things that they sculpted, I mean,
some of this stuff,
they were talented.
It's kind of beautiful, this stuff.
DNA shows North American Indians related to ancestral European people. So now the DNA shows that essentially...
So all humans, all Cro-Magnon, Neanderthal, we're all. That's the point, right? And that's the point we got to get to.
And watch this stuff. Here's what really bothered me, guys. I'm just being honest with you. This bothered me the most because that chart went out in droves.
Yep.
They didn't get the text. This is the book.
They didn't get this part, so they got the thing. Yeah.
They got the chart, but when you read the text, which is why do we tell you read the text?
Please read the text.
This is what it says. Although proto-apes and apes were quadrupedal, walking on all fours, all right, all are shown here standing for the purpose of comparison. So every one of those were proto-apes, apes.
There should be like this guy.
They should be like that guy.
Every one of them. But it wouldn't have made the photo that good, and all of a sudden there wouldn't have been a scent, right?
Not a one of those is in the human lineage, so you get rid of all
So
those.
what do you get?
That's it.
You get an ape line, and you get a human line, right?
Every one of those are human. The rest are apes. But let's go back and we're going to finish with these quotes here because this is just drilling home what we've been talking about, all right? It is a revealing story not only for the creatures it shows, but also because it graphically illustrates how much can be learned from how little.
That's what we've been saying over and over,
Every time.
Yep.
And many of the figures shown here have been built up from far few fragments of jaw, some teeth perhaps, as indicated by the white highlights, and thus are products of educated guessing.
Which is how we started this whole thing off. When you see words and suggestions and all kinds of interchangeable words for guessing, it's something to look at. You gotta always be paying attention. That's what we're here for. We're gonna help you share this stuff, learn this stuff, get out there and be bold for Christ, because if this is our only competition, come on.
We got a whole lot better than that.
See you next time. Adios.